My name is Ethan Miller, I'm 33 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. If you had asked me a year ago what my life looked like, I would have said perfect. Perfect wife. Perfect home. Perfect career. Perfect future. At least, that's what I thought. I met Emily 7 years ago at a volunteering event for a local animal shelter. I was fresh into my engineering job, she was building her career as a financial analyst. She was brilliant, charming, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and instantly light it up. We married 3 years later in a small hill country winery. Our families cried, our friends cheered, and I genuinely believed I had found the person I'd grow old with. We bought a home together, a cozy 2-story in a quiet suburb outside Austin. Evenings were simple. Home-cooked meals, Netflix, talking about kids someday. We laughed a lot back then. We dreamed big. I thought we were on the same team. But there's something I understand now. A relationship doesn't fall apart in one explosion. It crumbles slowly, tiny cracks you pretend not to see. And my story? It began with just one tiny crack. The first time Emily said, "I'll be home late tonight, big project at work." I didn't think twice. I kissed her goodbye, told her I was proud of her. I had no idea that one sentence would become a nightly ritual. No idea it would turn into the lie that unraveled everything. The first time Emily said she'd be home late, it didn't bother me. She'd always been ambitious, always pushed herself at work. A late night here or there wasn't unusual. But then it became every night. 1 week turned into 2. 2 turned into a month. She'd come home at 10 p.m., sometimes later. Makeup smudged. Hair a little messy. Perfume different from her usual scent, stronger, sweeter. Her explanations were always the same. It's quarter end. We're preparing for a major audit. My boss needs me to run numbers. I'm exhausted, can we talk tomorrow? At first, I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She'd never given me a reason not to. But things started feeling off. She stopped letting me pick her up from work. Stopped answering my calls during late nights. Turned her phone face down when she got home. Started showering the moment she walked through the door. And the worst part? She stopped looking at me the same way. It was subtle, too subtle for most people to notice. But when you love someone deeply, you feel the shift before you see it. I'd ask if everything was okay, and she'd smile. A tired, practiced smile. Everything's fine. Just stressed. But her eyes said something else. Something distant. Something she didn't want me to see. One night, she got a message on her phone. It lit up on the counter while she changed clothes. I glanced at it. A name I didn't recognize. A preview of a message that read, "Same time tonight." I felt a knot in my stomach. Because Emily never mentioned staying late that night. I didn't say anything. I didn't confront her. I wanted to believe there was an explanation. But as she walked past me, grabbed her bag, and said, "I'll be home late again. Don't wait up." I realized something had changed in our home. And whatever it was, it wasn't going away by itself. The night I saw that message, "Same time tonight," something inside me shifted. I wanted so badly to trust Emily. To believe it was harmless. A coworker. A timing question. Something innocent. But my gut said otherwise. And your gut? Your gut never lies. The next morning, Emily acted normal. Too normal. She made coffee, hummed while getting ready, kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. But the kiss felt lighter. Like a habit, not affection. I tried to shake it off. Tried to convince myself I was imagining everything. But then the little things started piling up. 1. She changed her lock screen. She'd always used a picture of the two of us at the lake. Now it was a plain black wallpaper. 2. She started dressing differently for late work nights. More makeup. Heels. Hair done perfectly. Nobody wears heels to crunch spreadsheets at 10 p.m. 3. She became protective of her phone. Took it everywhere, even to the bathroom. Something she never did before. 4. She stopped planning for the future. When I mentioned a summer trip, she said, "Let's not plan too far ahead." Too far ahead? We used to plan years ahead. 5. The way she smelled changed. Not the perfume, the scent. You can tell when someone has been close to someone else. There's an intimacy you can't erase. And still I didn't confront her. Why? Because love blinds you. It makes you accept things you shouldn't. It makes you hold on to hope even when the truth is suffocating you. But the moment that broke me came a week later. I called her office to bring her lunch, something I used to do all the time. The receptionist answered. "Emily. She's not in today. She took the day off." My heart dropped. Emily had left home at 7:30 a.m. in full work clothes. And told me she'd be back late. It was the first time I truly admitted to myself. She was lying. And whatever she was hiding, it was big. But I still wasn't prepared for what I would discover next. After the receptionist told me Emily wasn't at work, I sat in my car for a long time. Staring at the steering wheel. Trying to breathe. Trying to understand what was happening to my life. I didn't want to make assumptions. Didn't want to jump to conclusions. But when someone lies about where they are, there's always a reason. And it's never a good one. That night, Emily came home later than usual. 10:54 p.m. Her hair messy. Her lipstick smudged. Her blouse wrinkled like she'd been holding someone, or someone had been holding her. She froze when she saw me sitting on the couch, awake, waiting. "You're still up?" she asked, forcing a smile. "Yeah," I said softly. "Thought we could talk." For a moment. Just a moment. I saw panic flash in her eyes. But she quickly hid it. "I'm exhausted, Ethan. I had a terrible day at work." Work. The place she didn't even go to. I kept my voice calm. Too calm. "I called your office today," I said. Her entire body stiffened. "They said you weren't there." Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Her eyes darted everywhere except my face. Her fingers trembled slightly. She swallowed hard. "Ethan, it's not what you think." The problem was, I didn't know what to think anymore. "Then tell me," I said. "Explain it to me." She took a deep breath. A long one. Preparing a lie, or preparing to tell the truth. I still don't know which one she was reaching for. But then, her phone buzzed. A notification. A name. Caleb. The same name from the message. Same time tonight. Her eyes widened. She scrambled to grab the phone. Too late. I had seen it. Everything inside me went cold. "Who is he, Emily?" I asked. Her breath hitched. She backed away slightly, like she needed distance to build a lie. "I can't do this right now," she said. "I'm tired." "Please, Ethan, not tonight." But that was the moment everything shifted inside me. For weeks I had doubted myself. Questioned my instincts. Blamed myself for being insecure. But now I finally understood something. She wasn't just hiding something. She was hiding someone. And whatever she was planning, whatever she was doing, I needed to know the truth. Even if it destroyed me. The night after I confronted her, Emily was different. Cold. Distant. Barely speaking to me. She moved around the house like a ghost, avoiding eye contact, avoiding conversation, avoiding me. By 6 p.m., she was already dressed, perfectly. Hair curled. Makeup flawless. Heels. Perfume I had never smelled before. She had never gotten ready that early for a late night at work. I watched her from the kitchen doorway as she adjusted her earrings in the mirror. Her hands were steady. Too steady. Someone who's stressed doesn't look like that. Someone who's hiding something does. At 7:10 p.m., she grabbed her bag and headed for the door. "I'll be home late," she said quickly. "Big project tonight." She didn't even look at me. When the door closed behind her, the house felt silent. Heavy. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. I stood there for a moment. Heart pounding. Staring at the doorknob she had just touched. I knew what I had to do. For weeks I had let myself drown in doubt. Let myself believe lies because I loved her. Because I wanted our marriage to survive. But love without truth isn't a marriage. It's a slow death. So I grabbed my keys and followed her. I kept a distance, staying several cars back. Didn't want her to recognize my headlights. Didn't want her to know I was there. I expected her to go downtown, that's where her office was. But she didn't. Instead, she drove toward a quieter part of town. Older buildings. Warehouse-style offices. Dimly lit streets. Not a place you go for extra hours of financial reports. My stomach twisted. She stopped the car outside a small two-story building with tinted windows. Not a restaurant. Not a bar. Not an office she ever mentioned. A single sign glowed faintly over the door. Evening Wellness Center, private appointments only. I watched her get out of the car. She checked her reflection in the window. Fixed her hair. Pulled down her dress slightly. Then she walked inside. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Like she had done it many times before. I felt my hands shake on the steering wheel. My throat tightened. Every instinct screamed at me that this wasn't innocent. Caleb. The name echoed in my mind. Was he in there? Was this their meeting place? I had two choices. Stay in the car and let the truth stay hidden. Or walk inside and face it. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my teeth. Then I stepped out of the car. Because sometimes the only way to save yourself is to stop protecting the lie. And as I approached the entrance, I had no idea that what waited behind that door would change everything I thought I knew. About my wife. And about myself. The lobby of the building was dimly lit, too dim for a place calling itself a wellness center. The air smelled faintly of eucalyptus, but underneath that, something else. Something expensive. Something intimate. A receptionist sat behind a frosted glass counter, tapping on her tablet. She didn't even look up when I walked in. "Name?" she asked flatly. I swallowed. Ethan. She flicked her eyes up for a second, scanning me. Judging me. Then she asked. "Are you here for a private session?" Her tone made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Private session. Before I could answer, I heard footsteps echoing down the hallway. Heeled footsteps. Slow. Purposely slow. I turned, and there she was. Emily. Not in business clothes. Not in office attire. But in a fitted black dress I had never seen before. Her face went pale when our eyes met. "Ethan. What are you doing here?" Her voice cracked. I stepped toward her slowly, the way someone approaches a wild animal, not wanting to startle, but needing answers. What am I doing here? I said quietly. What are you doing here, Emily? She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her eyes darted behind her. Down the hallway. Toward a door with a small glowing sign. Private room 4, reserved. Before she could stop me, the door opened. And a man stepped out. Tall. Fit. Perfectly groomed dark hair. Wearing a tailored button-up shirt with sleeves rolled up. Confident. Relaxed. Too relaxed. He looked at Emily first. Then at me. Is everything okay? He asked, voice low, controlled. Her face turned bright red. She shook her head slightly, a silent plead. Don't say anything. Not here. The receptionist watched us like she'd seen this scene 100 times. I stared at the man. Are you Caleb? He raised an eyebrow. A small smirk tugged at the corner of his mouth. That depends, he said. Who's asking? My stomach twisted. Emily stepped between us, her hands shaking. Ethan, please, we can talk at home. No, I said firmly. We're talking now. For a moment, she closed her eyes. As if she already knew this moment was coming. As if she'd practiced 100 excuses, but none of them were ready for the truth standing in front of her. Her voice was barely a whisper when she said it. He's my therapist. Therapist? I blinked. Of all the answers I expected, that wasn't one of them. But before I could process it, Caleb spoke. No, he said softly. And his next words felt like a punch to the chest. We've been seeing each other privately, after hours. Emily gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. Caleb. Her voice cracked. That's not. I didn't want. He cut her off. It's time he knows. My body went ice cold. I wasn't standing in a wellness center. I was standing in the one place she'd been hiding the truth I wasn't ready to face. My wife wasn't stressed. She wasn't overwhelmed. She wasn't working late. She was building a secret life. One I was never supposed to discover. For a few seconds, no one moved. It felt like the air had thickened, like the world had gone quiet except for the pounding heartbeat in my ears. Emily looked stunned. Caleb looked calm, too calm. And I felt like the floor had just dropped beneath me. A private relationship? I finally managed to say. With my wife? Emily shook her head violently. Ethan, no, it's not like that. He's twisting it. Caleb tilted his head. Almost pitying me. You don't have to defend yourself anymore, Emily, he said. He already knows. My fists clenched at my sides. Knows what? I snapped. Because the last time I checked, my wife was married, to me. Emily stepped closer, tears filling her eyes. Please, let's talk alone, she begged. I didn't want it to happen like this. Didn't want what to happen? I asked. Me finding out who you really spend your nights with. The man you've been lying to me about. The man you're dressing up for. She covered her face with her hands for a moment, shoulders shaking. Then she whispered something I'll never forget. I didn't mean to fall for him. The sentence sliced through me. Not a knife. Not a bullet. Something worse, the truth. Caleb watched her with soft eyes, the kind of look a man gives a woman he knows he's already won. I felt sick. So this is why you've been coming home late? I said quietly. This is why you lied about work. Why you hid your phone. Why you took the day off and pretended to go in. She nodded slowly. I didn't know how to tell you, she said. I thought if I kept the therapy story, if I kept it controlled, I could figure out what I wanted. Figure out what you wanted? My voice cracked. You're my wife, Emily. I thought we were fighting for the same life. She looked up, eyes red, makeup smeared. I cared about you, Ethan. I still do. But with Caleb. Caleb stepped closer, placing a hand on her arm. That was it. The moment my restraint shattered. Don't touch her, I growled. He didn't move. Just smirked. She came to me, he said. She reached out. She made the first move. Emily's knees nearly buckled. That's not true, she cried. Caleb, stop. But I already knew the truth didn't matter anymore. Their story had been written without me. I looked at Emily, really looked at her. The woman I married. The woman I loved. The woman who promised me forever. Was standing next to the man she had chosen instead. And maybe the cruelest part. There wasn't anger in her eyes. Or guilt. Or even fear. There was relief. She had been caught, yes. But now she no longer had to hide. My chest tightened. I felt a pressure, almost like my ribs were closing in. So what now? I asked quietly. You want a divorce? Emily wiped her eyes. I don't know, she whispered. I didn't think we'd reach this point so fast. I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. We reached this point the moment you lied. Silence fell between us, heavy, final. Then I said the only words I could. Enjoy your private session. And I walked out. Not because I wasn't hurting. Not because I wasn't shattered. But because staying in that room would have killed the last pieces of me that still believed in us. When the door closed behind me, I felt something inside me break. For the first time since this nightmare began. I wasn't confused. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't doubting myself. I finally knew the truth. And the truth was worse than any lie I had feared. I don't remember the drive home. I don't remember pulling into the driveway, turning off the engine, or walking through the front door. All I remember is the silence. A deep, hollow silence that filled every corner of the house we once called ours. I sat on the couch, the same couch I had waited for her on countless nights, and stared at nothing. My hands shook uncontrollably. My chest felt tight, like someone was squeezing my lungs. The truth was out. And somehow, the truth hurt more than the suspicion ever did. I don't know how long I sat there, minutes, hours, time became meaningless. Eventually, reality caught up to me. My wife was in another man's arms. My marriage had collapsed in a single night. And I had absolutely no control over any of it. But then something unexpected happened. Anger arrived. Not rage. Not violence. But a hot, sharp clarity. For weeks I had been drowning. Blaming myself. Thinking I was paranoid, insecure, unreasonable. But I wasn't the problem. The problem was her lies. Her choices. Her betrayal. And I refused to let her destroy what was left of me. White medium star the first step, protecting myself. At midnight, I got up and did something I should have done long before. I opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Dates. Messages. Phone logs. Time she was working late. The day she skipped the office entirely. I wasn't doing it to win. I wasn't doing it to punish her. I was doing it to protect myself. Because when someone lies that easily, they're capable of lying about anything, even rewriting the story to make you the villain. White medium star the second step, taking back control. The next morning, I made 2 calls. First call, my best friend, Lucas. He answered on the first ring. Ethan. Dude, what's wrong? My voice cracked, but I told him everything. He didn't judge. He didn't say, I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. He didn't defend her. He said. Pack a bag. Come stay with me. And that's exactly what I did. Second call, a divorce attorney. I didn't even flinch when I said the word divorce. It came out natural. Maybe even necessary. The attorney listened carefully, asked questions calmly, and then said. The moment she stepped out of the marriage emotionally or physically, you have the right to protect yourself legally. Hearing those words felt like someone was lifting a weight off my chest. For the first time in months. I felt like I could breathe. White medium star the third step, walking away. When Emily came home the next day, I wasn't there. I left the house key on the counter with a simple note. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. She called. Texted. Cried. Begged me to meet. Not to apologize. Not to fix things. But to explain. Explain what? How she fell for him. How she replaced me. How she lived a double life so naturally. I ignored every message. Not out of pettiness. Not out of revenge. Because the moment I walked out of that wellness center, I realized I had been trying to save something she had already burned to the ground. White medium star the turning point. A week later, as I sat on Lucas's couch, surrounded by the life I had temporarily rebuilt, something hit me. I wasn't broken. I was rebuilding. I wasn't losing a partner. I was losing a liar. And sometimes losing the wrong person is the only way to find yourself again. But my story wasn't over. Neither was hers. Because the universe has a strange way of revealing truth. And what came next? I never saw coming. A month passed. A month since the wellness center. A month since the lies finally collapsed. A month since I walked out of the house I once thought I'd raise a family in. And somewhere in that month, I found myself again. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But piece by piece, the way broken things slowly become whole. One morning, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was short. He left me. Emily. I stared at it for a long time. No apology. No explanation. Just a confession of the fallout. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her. But because her pain was no longer my responsibility. That chapter of my life had closed the moment she chose someone else. A week later, her attorney contacted mine. Emily wasn't fighting the divorce. She wasn't making demands. She wasn't trying to rewrite the story. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe Caleb had walked away after getting what he wanted. Maybe she finally realized the cost of her betrayal. But none of that mattered anymore. I signed the papers with a steady hand. For the first time, I wasn't signing something out of fear or desperation. I was signing for my peace. I moved into a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, but it felt mine. Every corner was honest. Every sound was peaceful. And every night, I fell asleep without wondering where someone else was. I started going to the gym again. Started picking up old hobbies. Started reconnecting with friends I had unintentionally pushed away during the chaos. I even started therapy, real therapy, the kind that heals instead of hides. My therapist asked me one question that reshaped everything. Did you lose a wife? Or did you lose a person who was only pretending to be one? I went home that day and wrote a list. Not of what Emily did wrong. But of everything I wanted in the future. Trust. Consistency. Transparency. Kindness. Stability. Love that doesn't require detective work. And I promised myself. I will never settle for less again. 3 months later, I met someone new. Not someone looking to fill a void. Not someone who reminded me of the past. Someone genuine. Someone steady. Someone who didn't make me doubt myself. We met at a community art event. She laughed at something awkward I said. I laughed too. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope instead of fear. We're still taking things slow. Still learning each other. Still healing in our own ways. But it feels real. Honest. Healthy. And that's enough. If you had told me a year ago my marriage would crumble, I would have said you were insane. If you told me I'd find strength in that collapse, I wouldn't have believed you. But the truth is, sometimes the universe tears away what was never meant for you, so you can make space for what truly is. Emily's betrayal didn't destroy me. It freed me. Freed me from lies. Freed me from doubt. Freed me from fighting for a love I thought I needed. And now, I'm finally living a life where the truth isn't painful. It's peaceful. Because the storm didn't break me. It rebuilt me.